Well, it's race 2, and as you can see, the cars are heading out to the grid. Gary Lawrence is on pole position. It's over to Richard John Neal to take you through all of the action.
Thank you, Lloyd. Joining Gary on the front row of the grid, the man who finished second in race number 1, Andrew Porter. Row 2, Lee Bowden and Nick Hull. The 94s headed by Peter Smith from Hugh Pert, and John Jones completing the grid. This one a 15-minute race. The organisers very much against it today. We're hoping to have a full 20-minute race 3 if they can catch up with the schedule. If anyone can do it, the BRSCC can. The lights are out, away we go. Great start by Gary Lawrence, and Nick Hull gets away too well in the blue car. Hull slotting into third place ahead of Lee Bowden. Not the best of starts though for Andrew Porter, who is in third, and Lee Bowden has to go across the dirt there, was challenging for third place. I'm not sure whether Porter knew he was coming up the inside line, but Andrew Porter from the front row of the grid is down in third place, so it's the two more seasoned drivers, shall we say, 1 and 2. There is Lee Bowden in the 16, and Lee followed by Peter Smith as Andrew Porter challenges Nick Hull for second place. So Porter very quickly back on the case and challenging Nick Hull for second position. The man from Harrogate coming under pressure. Nick himself will want to try and not let Gary Lawrence get away. Gary was fourth obviously in the first race of the day and came through. Circuit now is completely dry, so we'll get much more of a picture of how things are going to unfold over the course of the race. Nick heading towards the mountain section. Gary Lawrence beginning to build a bit of a lead over Nick Hull, who will look in his mirrors and he'll know that that third place car will be keen to get a further step up on the podium. Wonderful shot as they leap up the mountain over that hump, become almost airborne. The car's very, very light indeed over there. Lawrence now looking for career win number 3. That will sound so good for him. Through the old hairpin down to Barn Corner. This the conclusion of lap number 1. On board again with Nick Hull in the 44 car. Nick has had some success here. I've told you before that Nick was the one of the very early race-winning drivers in the Boxsters. In fact, we'll come back to that because we're on board with Hugh Pert, who is in third place at the moment, and John Jones up ahead of him in the 639. So Hugh with a little bit of work to do. Peter Smith leading the class, and need to talk a bit about Peter because we didn't talk too much about the returning man in the 94s in race number 1. So second position, a battle. Nick Hull not overly defensive there, so obviously feeling fairly confident. Heading through Park Corner down towards Chris Curve. This the scrap for second position then in the 924s, and a very good move there indeed by Hugh Pert in the 36th, the man from Northwood going to go through. First time he's been defeated this year in race number 1. And through on the inside goes Pert, with John Jones now down into third position. And Pete Smith clear of those guys at the moment. Still the battle for third place goes on. So yeah, I was going back to Cadwell Park and talking about Nick Hull in the 44 car. Cadwell, the scene of Nick's wins in the championship back in those early days, the overall race win, so he's very much used to it. I think very much enjoys the circuit, and now having a great scrap with Andrew Porter. Lee Bowden is not too far away as well in fourth place. Remember, we saw Lee holding second position earlier on in race number 1, and will be keen to join this podium battle as Porter comes offline, takes a wide line here. This is as much about getting a good sweep through Coppice Corner and then round into Charlie's, and maybe momentum onto the Park Straight. Remember, you have to build up to overtakes, particularly around here. Dab on the brakes in front from Nick Hull. Let's see whether that is going to scupper Porter. Bowden still in the mix as well in fourth place, not that far behind. But on these two battle, it's going to allow Gary Lawrence, who had the fastest lap as well, and the extra point that went with it now. And here comes Porter, comes offline, looks down the inside line into Park Corner. That was a great move into second position, and now he can set about trying to close down on Gary Lawrence. So Nick Hull is into third, Lee Bowden's going to start the chase of Nick Hull now. Nick, the championship leader. Now, we worked the points out after race number 1. Nick Hull is on 85 points. And then 83.5 points for Gary Lawrence is in second position in the standings. Then it's Andrew Porter up to third, Rick Styring down to fourth. Of course, it's Hugh Pert who leads the 924s. We've still got, in the early stages of the race, all 4 cars in shot, which is mightily encouraging. And Lee Bowden now trying to close down on Nick Hull, who's losing a little bit of ground on Andrew Porter in second place. Porter, of course, chasing his winner. Bowden goes through on the inside line there at Barn Corner and takes third place. Well, no shortage of overtaking here. It wasn't Barn, I beg your pardon, it was the old hairpin. They exit Barn now, go down the main straight, and Nick Hull finds himself in fourth position. That was a good move by Lee Bowden. Again, clean and fair racing is the absolute key to this. We've seen plenty of overtakes, of course, by Nick Hull over the course of the season so far. But in this one, he is now in fourth position, having held second earlier on. It's Gary Lawrence still the leader. There's the third place man. Lee Bowden, second meeting of the season, had a brace of 6 places at Brands Hatch. So he's going to be delighted with his progress now being in the Supersport boxes as opposed to the production category that he raced in before. Lee will be keen to add some more points to his tally as the season moves on. We're at Croft next time out, so 7th of July is the next meeting. A little wait following this outing here at Cadwell Park before we have a triple header at Croft. We've got Brands Hatch at the end of July, a couple of weeks after the Croft meeting, which is a double header. Another double header at Anglesey, and then Silverstone International treble header and another treble header to wrap up the season weekend of the 20th of October at Donington Park, which is a splendid venue anyway. They're all great tracks really that these cars race on. I know the drivers put a lot of thought into the calendar with the British Racing and Sports Car Club over the seasons. We are just about at half distance now in this one. As I say, a slightly shorter racing in order to get everything done today. So out of Barn, Nick Hull still in fourth place. 2010 when Nick Hull's wins here at Cadwell Park, as we ride on board with Andrew Porter closing in on the race leader. So it's Gary Lawrence still out front, and extra point available for that fastest lap. I can tell you now that Andrew Porter has in fact set the fastest lap in this race, so he's potentially on. And interestingly, if it finishes like this, they'll score the same amount of points from this race. It'll be 12.5 points each. Points are essentially 2 sets of points that you can have depending on the number of entrants in each class, and for this one it's going to be 12.5 points for the win and 11.5 points for second place, which is what Andrew Porter picked up in the previous event. At the moment, the way they stand on track, it is going to move Gary Lawrence. I'm going to hedge my bets here. If he wins, he'll go on to 96 and he will have the championship lead by 1.5 points over Nick Hull. But this is far from settled because, as I say, we're just past the halfway stage and Gary Lawrence is under a lot of pressure here. But having had 2 wins to his collection now, he knows that he's got the ability not only to overtake but also to defend. Andrew Porter having a very good go though, in second position at the moment, and this is a fine race between these two. Into the old hairpin, which was where we saw that super move on Nick Hull by Lee Bowden earlier on. Porter accelerates down the hill from Barn Corner, no problem, so pit lane visit not necessary at all. No retirements in race number 1 from round 6 of the PDA Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship for 2019, all performing well, and Porter still chasing. Closing up is the key thing, and then he's got to try and work out where he can nip past. Remember, it was into Park Corner, to which they are heading now, where he put the move on Nick Hull earlier on in the race. Gary Lawrence, he's not going defensive, and here comes Porter having a look. Too far back there, but just showing his colours to Gary Lawrence, the race leader. That's obviously going to be a favoured corner. It looks like Porter is very confident in the car's ability around there. And he's not losing any ground at all on Gary Lawrence at the moment. Lawrence, although not looking defensive on that previous lap, will, I think, have to defend at various points of the track. Coming down into Mansfield now. All is okay there. Heading past the bus stop up towards past the hairpin that you can see there, which is blocked off, and then the climb up the mountain. This is relentless stuff at the moment from Andrew Porter, piling the pressure on as they head into Hall Bends past the clubhouse. And Gary Lawrence, remember, just trying to work out, if he finishes second, he'll probably take the championship lead as well, but by half a point as opposed to 1.5. And remember, we're talking again total scores rather than the scenario allowing for drop scores, which we will bring into play at some point. First and second, though, across the line, Lawrence from Porter. This is enthralling stuff from these two over this 15-minute race. We're 10 minutes into the race now, so 2/3 distance. And Andrew Porter, having come through after maybe a frustrating start for him, might be wondering if things would have been different if he'd have had the better start. But he's caught the leader, still has the fastest lap set back on lap 4, 1 minute 41.18, actually a second quicker than his qualifying time. There is John Jones running in the 639 car in the 924s, and Gary Lawrence beginning to close on Jones, who is running in third position in class. We saw him dicing with Hugh Pert earlier on, held second position from the off in the 924s, but currently in third place, sticks to the outside of the track. Wonderful driving from John Jones. That is what this club is all about. They respect each other on track. You're going to get, at some time or another, a ding. We haven't seen any, but at some point it is going to happen when these marvellous cars race very closely together. But super driving by John Jones to allow the leaders through. That did not impede the lead battle at all, and it's still very much alive, with Lawrence coming under pressure from Porter, who again wants to have a look. Those wonderful onboard shots. Past clubhouse, through Hall Bends again, coming down into the old hairpin. This a potential overtake. No, it's a wide line here. This is all about carrying the speed out of these two corners for Porter and maybe having a run down the straight. He's certainly not wider into Barn, if anything, pulling away Gary Lawrence there from that sequence of corners, and Porter's got to have another look. He'll close up slightly as they come into Coppice. Lawrence responding well at the moment, on board with the race leader again, nicely grabbing the apex at Coppice, round into Charlie's, the right-hander, which sweeps, continues. Here we come, eventually emerging onto the Park Straight, and here come the two leaders still fighting it out. Andrew Porter still the chaser, and it's Gary Lawrence in the number 3, appropriately looking for career win number 3 here. Wait ages for a win and then 3 come at once, but he ain't there yet either, because again into Park, and now Gary Lawrence, you saw there going into Park corner. Lawrence knows that Porter is quick into that corner. I don't know if he's aware that that's where Porter put the pass on Nick Hull earlier on, but that was defensive from Gary Lawrence, and why not? Here we go, braking as they head down through the gooseneck and towards Mansfield. Porter again having a look on that inside line. Got to be brave to put in a move anywhere here at Cadwell Park. Conditions, I would say, possibly slightly easier than they were in the wet, because in race number 1 there was really in many parts of the circuit only a dry line, and you had to have to come off that now. But look at this, Porter is very much on the offensive again as they head through the twists and turns down towards the old hairpin once again. And Gary Lawrence, of course, the more you get defensive, the more you get sucked into the battle. But Porter has got to try and find a way past. If Lawrence is defending, technically he's checking up the driver behind, and it might stop the flow to some extent of the driver that's chasing. And Andrew Porter still chasing hard, goes across the line again. And this is lap 9 of the race, as you can see. 15-minute race. It's going to go to about 15:45, I guess, by the end of it. Lawrence still there, still looking in his mirrors, and chasing hard is Andrew Porter. What a Porsche race we have had between these two. two good races to get things underway here at Cadwell Park, and we've got another race to come with the reverse grid too, and here they come. And look at that, Lawrence knows, and he's forcing Porter to go round the outside, but there isn't the grip, and Porter, that's game over for him. Fair play to him for having a go around the outside line, but the grip just was not there. He had momentum, but not the grip to match it. And Gary Lawrence emerges from Chris Curve in lead position with a little bit of a breathing space now over Andrew Porter. And that was the proof of the pudding that Gary Lawrence had to go defensive, because he forced Porter onto the outside line, couldn't stay off on the grass, and Gary Lawrence looks like it's going to be a Cadwell Park double here in the number 3 car. This for the double, this to take the championship lead away from Nick Hull. So Hull will have held the championship lead for a single race. Hull still running in 4th, Lee Bowden in 3rd. Peter Smith is heading for a 2nd career win in the 924s, and I'll hopefully get a chance to talk about Peter Smith in race 3 and his achievements in the Toyo Tires Championship over the years. Here comes Andrew Porter though, 2nd position, closing in again. He's recovering, he's closing in on Gary Lawrence, but it's going to be Gary Lawrence that takes a double here at Cadwell. Andrew Porter crosses the line in 2nd place. Lee Bowden is in 3rd and was not far behind at all, Lee Bowden. 4th position will go to erstwhile championship leader after race 1, Nick Hull, in the blue 44 car, with Peter Smith taking the honours once again in the 924s. So 2nd career win for Peter Smith in the 924s. Hugh Pert taking 2nd position in the classic class. John Jones completing those runners. Fastest laps in the race, Andrew Porter and Hugh Pert.
Peter, congratulations on your class victory. It's an interesting circuit, Cadwell, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think you love it or hate it, and I do like it. Yeah, it's nice. It's got the undulations, gradients, camber changes. It is just like a roller coaster, really. It's awesome. Yeah.
Hugh, congratulations on your 2nd place, but
all went wrong at the start.
Well,
didn't
yeah,
it?
that was kind of what I was alluding to.
No, all went wrong at the start. Yesterday I had a brilliant start, led everybody by several car lengths at the end of the 1st straight. Today I just spun up, everybody got past me, and it was just playing catch up then, because I couldn't get past John for a lap, and by which time Pete was down the road. I managed to get fastest lap off him, but it was just too far up the road. But still a brilliant drive, lovely circuit, lovely day, but it was gone.
John, a cracking start, and you seem to have a bit of an interesting battle there with Hugh for a little bit, but he obviously had a bit of extra speed over you.
Yeah, he's obviously much quicker. It's first time here at Cadwell. I struggled big time yesterday in the wet. Today felt much better. Got a better start than Hugh, held him back for a while. It was inevitable he would pass, and after that it was just settling down and finishing the race.